Welcome to the programme. Our main story this afternoon: Turkish warplanes have bombed parts of northeastern Syria at the start of an offensive against Kurdish-led allies of the US. That is the sound of Turkish military jets taking off early this afternoon. President Erdogan says the operation will create a safe zone clear of Kurdish militias, which will be used to house Syrian refugees, many of them who are in Turkey at the moment. The Kurdish-led forces, the SDF, who are in charge in northeast Syria, say that the Turkish airstrikes so far have killed 2 civilians and injured 2 other people. Well, Shiraz Maher is the director of the International Centre for the Study of Radicalisation. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
One of the big, well, there are many actually sizable issues here, but one which I'm sure will be occupying your attention at the moment is what exactly happens with those various prisons and camps that are being run by the SDF and are housing often very dangerous former Islamic State fighters in that area.
Yeah, this is absolutely a huge issue. The SDF, who are occupying northeastern Syria, which has been the most stable part of the country throughout this entire conflict, and from which a lot of the heavy lifting was done in the fight to push back Islamic State territory. They're holding tens of thousands of people who are associated with the Islamic State group. So any Turkish incursion into this area really risks unsettling what is already a very precarious balance in that region. And, it should be said that the Kurds have been struggling in recent weeks and months to continue to detain these individuals. Reports from Al-Hol camp, where a lot of women and children are being held, in recent weeks showed just how difficult things are becoming there, increasing lawlessness, attacks on guards. And in April of this year, there was a very serious attempted prison break at one of the facilities holding the men. So this is a situation that requires a lot of delicacy and attention. And the last thing we need right now is for the Turks to be going in.
Yeah, I was saying on the programme yesterday, Shiraz, I was in Al-Hol 3 months ago now, around the time when the first attacks on guards were happening. And even then, there was that sense that certainly what the SDF didn't need at that point in time was something to draw their attention away from what was already a difficult situation that they were trying to contain.
Exactly. The SDF are stretched, but also the SDF aren't just stretched in terms of manpower. They have been saying for quite some time to the United States and to Europe and to Britain that they can't afford financially to hold these people indefinitely. So they've been suffering a series of challenges in an attempt to try and maintain control and order in these areas. Now, as Turkey comes in from the north, they will inevitably move forces from other parts of territory that they're holding, such as Raqqa, such as Deir ez-Zor province, up north in order to try and repel and resist the Turkish invasion. So that will create opportunities for Islamic State to try and launch a revanchist campaign, to come back, to take back territory. And in the last month alone, the leader of the group, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, issued a call to his own supporters to free these very prisoners. So if we're now seeing forces get diverted to other areas of sensitivity, those prisoners become even more vulnerable.
And what is the suggestion? Well, that when Turkish forces move in, that they will start to secure the prisons, or that Syrian forces will come up from the south, Assad's forces, and take charge? What is supposed to happen there?
Well, all of this is subject to conjecture. No one really knows at this point what will happen. What a lot of analysts suspect, and from speaking to sources on the ground and those connected with this, the thinking is that the Turks may well have agreed to only come in about 30 miles from the border. If that's the case, as you know, you've been to Al-Hol, it's nowhere near within 30 miles of the border. So that would mean those facilities don't fall into Turkish hands. But as we've seen in Syria, things that are discussed in political offices or in hotel lobbies, where all these sort of peace conferences take place, never play out on the ground. Syria is the Wild West. There are so many wild cards and dynamics at play at any one moment that no one has been able to accurately predict this conflict since it began in 2011.
Shiraz, thank you. Shiraz Maher, who's the director of the International Centre for the Study of Radicalisation.